Welcome back to Red Band of Destiny, here for another episode of Show of the Year. Of course, still covering American Vandal's 2018 season, and we're on the final episode, The Dump. Yet another innuendo is the title. So, this is where everything all gets wrapped up into a lovely ball of crazy tethers all coming to one. So we start dealing with the whole, what was her fake name? Brooke Wheeler situation, who actually turned out to be stolen photos of a girl named Abby Samuels, who I will say is very well acted. I really like the interview they did with her. You see her sort of, she's like, because she's just found out about that so many people have seen those pictures that she thought were private. And she's pretty shaken up about the whole thing. And then they managed to track it down. She broke her phone, took her phone to a little repair kiosk at the mall. And it turns out the person she gave the phone to at the kiosk was Grayson Wentz, the student who was expelled from the school for basically using other people's accounts to tweet inappropriate stuff because they left their account open on a school computer. So it's like, you kind of deserve that one. But yeah, he gets expelled. He's obviously upset about that. And he kind of stews and stews and stews and eventually breaks, right? And comes up with this whole crazy scheme, which is really approaching psychopath levels of scary. And he basically reaches out to everyone at the school as this character he's created to see how many he could catfish, and gradually, whittles it down to the 4 or 5 that he actually kept. Of course, the big thing of this episode is a final prank, or what people assume will be a prank. They'll freak out what it turns out to be. He leaks everything that people have sent the fake character he made up. So anyone who fell for his little catfish routine, even a little bit, is doxxed, basically. The main people who get caught up in it is Mr. Giswaldi, the teacher who originally expelled Grayson, so I'm sure he was very happy about that one. He did the calendar, of course. And then Drew, the kid from earlier, who had the baby fetish, whatever, photos. But there's a twist there, but we'll come to it in a second. And also DeMarcus, who weirdly was less concerned about the fact that people had seen his dick than the fact that he was catfished. The worst part for him was that people knew he'd been catfished. It wasn't nobody really cared about the picture. It was the circumstances behind how the picture came out that was the problem for him. But yeah, back to Drew. So Drew is later interviewed, and he's like, I didn't do any of the pranks. He actually refused to do it, which is why the original photos were released. He's like, no. So, yeah. It came out. But it turned out that Grayson had more on him, a video of the same activity. And that's why he never talked. But that means Kevin doesn't fit in anywhere, right? Oh, yeah, Kevin must fit in, right? Because he's the only one left. But he wasn't blackmailed. At least there was nothing released on him. Well, turns out Kevin didn't need to be blackmailed. He was perfectly happy to do it without being blackmailed. He regretted it pretty quickly. But he wasn't actually blackmailed. He didn't do anything. Or he didn't send any pictures or anything. Oh, I do want to point out that he name dropped Rick and Morty, which I thought was funny because that's what this show was competing with for me this year. And we will most certainly be doing at least 1 year of Rick and Morty. Which year? I don't know, but at least one. But yeah, that kind of wraps everything up. Grayson gets arrested and charged. They don't actually say what he gets charged with. I assume he went to prison because this is pretty substantial crimes. I mean, impersonating someone, probably even get him on distribution of pornography at that rate. But yeah, he and those are minors too, so that's even worse. So yeah, he's probably really got the book thrown at him. But I mean, this his whole thing is like serial killer levels of fucked up. At least I imagine that if he hadn't done this, he might have snapped later on down the road and become a serial killer. He's that troubled. Though, hey, maybe he would have grown out of it, but he's not going to get that chance now, is he? But I really like the way this kind of wraps everything up, especially with DeMarcus. DeMarcus really turns his life, I guess, not really around. He more of jettisons the hangers-on. Lou kind of gets sidelined, and he starts to schedule his own stuff. He gets his driver's license, which apparently he was not getting because he was like, "Oh, I get driven around. It doesn't matter." So he did. He got a driver's license. He chose what college he wanted to go to, and it's very positive. And then Kevin goes to a new school, which he's hopeful about, but probably not great. Better than staying where he is, but he's still probably going to be alienated there. And then they do this nice little wrap up about how I guess this is about Gen Z, technically. I think these kids are too young to be millennials. But that how their generation is obsessed with technology and is social networking constantly. And it's really true. I mean, social networking is everywhere. I know I'm guilty of getting stuck on my phone. I'll sit there for an hour doing nothing, wasting my time. And it's hard it's a hard habit to kick. But it's amazing how quickly the world's moved on since I was in high school, less than 10 years ago, and things have moved on a lot. I mean, we had, some social networking, but not everyone was involved. I mean, I didn't get into Facebook until halfway through college, and that was only because that's how most car events are planned, is through Facebook, and then I fell into the full Facebook trap. So, yeah. But, so I think it has kind of a happy ending, except for Grayson, obviously, but, well, he's a dick, so he kind of deserves it. He went way too far. But I hope you've enjoyed this series on American Vandal. We'll be back next week with another episode of Why You Should Watch. Oh, wait, no, hang on. I'm going to do Why You Should Listen to. Why You Should Listen to from 1974. So join us then.